Well, there's liability if somebody getting So the first topic tonight is the annual Christmas event and parade. Based on some of the feedback we received this year, not having the parade, it sounds like some of the citizens do want a parade. We still have some of the frustrations that were voiced the last time we did that we should take into consideration. And so our suggestion, mainly coming from Parks and Rec and Christina, is to combine what was called the tractor swing as more of a general holiday event with a stationary parade. It would be mainly focused at the Commons. Depending on the number of vendors, we could expand into Swinyer. That would give us a spot for all of the parade floats while not closing two state routes. Having them be stationary also addresses the PEP issue with throwing of candy and that sort of thing. We would have room for bands and that sort of thing. We would go ahead and prohibit animals and horses so that we wouldn't have that cleanup. And we would pivot into a little broader direction rather than strictly a tractor swing into more of a holiday festival with a few more food trucks and focus on our seniors and the children and those sorts of ideas. So that's our suggestion. I'd kind of like to hear your feedback.
I got a lot of feedback from the community, and it's more than 5 or 10. It's probably closer to 30. People were really unhappy that we canceled it. They appreciate a parade where you have the street closed and you have the floats going down the road. And I know we talked about potentially doing something similar what you've described, because it does impact State Route being closed on Epsom Pike. But could we do like a Little Debbie closure, because we could easily divert the traffic and still have a float and a parade along Little Debbie?
If we were to do a parade that's not combined with the holiday event, it gets much more difficult logistically.
You mean a lot more work for the city?
And staff resources and PD resources and that sort of thing. We wouldn't be able to do them on the same day, I don't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, for years we had the parade before the tractor swing came. So
yeah,
I'm not trying to be a pain, but I mean, as much what I heard from the community, it was give us back our parade.
So that seemed to be when we had the parade, the feedback was you screwed up my business and the horses pooped in my parking lot. When we didn't have the parade, it was we want the parade back.
Yeah, and I understand horses. I mean, that's
Right.
just, unfortunately, you can't control them or potty train them like you can kids.
You can
But-
use the bags.
Yeah, and I'm okay with them not participating from that
And that would
perspective.
be absolutely an option. If we're going to shut down any roads, I think we want to do it not in front of businesses, and so that businesses still keep access. We would also need to figure out how folks could get to and from the apartments and that sort of thing on Little Debbie. So kind of, you still have homes in between too on Little Debbie. So
Yeah, and I mean,
shutting any of those down is difficult.
but I think if we communicated it well enough, I mean, maybe it doesn't go all the way down to the apartments. But my only concern about Swinyer Drive, it's such a short road. And I think the logistics of parking everybody and coming in there until we get additional parking lots is going to be a challenge. And then I'd prefer not to have people continue to park up into Greenbrier subdivision up there. And, it's just, if we have to do it on 2 days, I understand it costs us more money in logistics, but that's my personal preference.
I'm with the vice mayor. I heard a lot of comments about not having the parade. They appreciated the parade more than they did the tractors at the common. I guess we're doing it for the community, and I think that if we work with the businesses, I mean, it brings them business. I mean, I on past occasions when we've had activities out here, on Appleson Pike. You can't get in and out of Dollar Tree because there's so many people in there buying snacks and drinks and everything else. So I really don't,
Pizza.
I think we should, we should do it for the community. And if we have to do another survey like we did before for the 4th of July date, maybe that's what we should do and get some feedback from our community, because it's for the community. And I think that if we're bringing people in, and that should help the businesses.
The survey idea is good. It'd certainly be good to see what the community would prefer, one or the other, or both. And then, once we have those results, put a budget to it as well. How interested is the community in a parade and that sort of thing financially?
Yeah, I would agree. We're doing this for the community, not doing it for us. And I think good things always take effort. So I think it's a very positive way to bring our community together. See their neighbors, some don't see them ever, and get to visit for a while. And I think when I have been to a lot of these, the people have just about as much fun with their friends as they do watching the parade after it starts, because they get there early to get a good place to park. And I think it's one of the things, the few things maybe in these small communities that really does give them something to look forward to and something for them to bring us all together. It's very similar socially, I think, and politically to the 4th of July celebration. It's looked forward to, it's about 6 months between the two on each other side, and kind of splits up the year. I think it does something that's uniquely positive for our community. And to me, it doesn't really matter which roads we use, but there needs to be enough roads to give people places to park. And there's just some things that go with parades, and I think some of the business owners probably end up in the long run maybe benefiting more than they understand or realize. But I think it's a good thing. The first thing I thought of was when that truck ran through them up in Wisconsin. That was I had a thought of what's that going to do to parades all across America. But I don't even think we should allow those kinds of things to impact what we do, because then they've won,
That's right.
so to speak. And I'm not in favor of that at all. But it's something that's definitely a red flag in my mind about that potential.
So why don't we follow the mayor's suggestion, put together a survey, give us a couple weeks to get it together and a couple weeks to do it, and then get the results out there, and then use that to inform our decision.
Did not the people who entered the floats and so forth, did they not pay a certain charge
I think it was
in the past?
$1,000.
So the Samaritan Center handled, typically before the last time we did it, the Samaritan Center handled everything. I think they even handled the last.
I think
We
as
just
far as that
assisted.
goes, yeah.
Yep.
So I don't know
$25.
what fees they had. I believe they were donations. And
It was 20.
It was 25.
25, I think that's what I'm. Yeah.
So would that not cover some of our costs?
Well, not if the Samaritan Center gets it.
I
I think
mean,
it would-
would it, I mean, they're not in our city. I mean, I'm not against helping them, don't get me wrong. But
That's true.
if we're providing all of the, the labor to put it together and clean up, I think that the city should get some of that at least.
How many floats were in the last parade?
probably 60, 70 maybe. I think it was 60 or 70. Maybe even more than that. It was close to 100, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm concerned about Swinyer Drive. I mean, that's,
Well, if it was stationary,
If it's stationary, you're talking,
20 feet.
maybe 50 feet per rig, truck and trailer type style. So, I mean, it's, we've got probably, 1,800 feet.
Yeah, on both
There.
sides and additional spots.
I've never heard of that. I mean, do people walk down the street? and look at them while they're,
The float was stationary and all of the patrons walk past, just because it eliminates some of the issues that we were talking about, the logistics and the throwing of candy and those sorts of things.
wouldn't they still want to throw candy?
Doesn't seem like-
You would walk up to the float.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah.
Seems like that. But man,
That's showcasing it.
place for people to park, I mean, that seemed like a huge problem at this point.
Yeah.
So we'll do the survey and try to present all the options, see what the community feedback is, and then we'll get that to you and make a decision.
But I think we can work out, I mean, for example, if we did Little Debbie, I think we could kind of stay on one side of the road for the apartment residents to get in and out and secure that some way with traffic cones or something. And so just food for thought.
So the other issue was the holiday decorations. And so our suggestion is let's kind of brainstorm some ideas over the next little while. And I'd like to get a feel for the commission, how much money they want to spend on holiday decorations. My suggestion would not be a huge amount. And then we'll let Public Works as needed buy banners, lights, et cetera, depending on your ideas, but just kind of dedicate a certain amount of money each year. And then work with Public Works just to brainstorm ideas and let them execute what they can based on that budget idea to keep it from getting to be too big of an item every year.
So when you say decorations, are you talking about building decorations or new banners or
It was,
lights at?
it was initially brought up on adding more banners. But my thought was we would expand upon that. Maybe one year we buy banners, next year we buy some lights for City Hall, those sorts of things, whatever ideas that we can all brainstorm together based on how much money we want to dedicate annually. I don't suggest putting a huge amount of money towards it annually, but some amount every year.
What does it cost now to decorate like they do for the fall and so forth at the little signs that we have around?
I don't have an exact number. A lot of the stuff we kind of reuse some from year to year. Some of it Ooltewah Nursery donates, Ace Hardware donates some stuff. I mean, between pumpkins, hay bales, and mums, maybe $500 to $1,000 is what we can spend, I think.
You said 500 too. Oh, okay. I thought you said 500,000. Whoa. Let's forget
I
that.
think the Samaritan donates some
Yeah.
of the scarecrows and stuff. They've donated.
Yeah,
I think
so,
those look nice.
yeah, I do too. I had to tell you, as soon as the banners go up, they catch my attention. But a week later, I drive out by them and really don't notice them. And I was wondering last year, maybe it's nice if we had some type of lights on them that, I don't know if it could be done or not, but,
So a lot of the poles that the banners are on do have power on them, and we could talk to EPB about what it would take to put a non-metered plug there and just come up with a usage plan. I'm sure EPB does that in Chattanooga.
yeah.
We don't have any of those set up, but it would be possible to do it. We don't have in-house staff to be able to do that, so there would be an expense to EPB or an electrical contractor, and we're talking electrical contractors are very busy right now, means they're very expensive.
Yeah.
We could also look at battery powered LEDs.
That would probably be a good
That
idea.
or solar panels. I don't know if we could do something solar or,
That or battery power, if it has a decent enough life, would be a good option. If we could, but if you're talking about running it 9 hours, 10 hours a night, not gonna get a whole lot of use out of it, but we can research to see which would be a better option. Solar may work. Just your per use will go up to, instead of being $30 per fixture, it might be $100 per fixture. But that would
Yeah.
be cheaper than providing electric.
I think adding some lights to those would be a huge plus. Because they're mostly new banners this year, it seemed to me like. There's a lot of new
We
ones.
purchased,
I
think we purchased 60 or 100 banners 4 or 5 years ago, which was about half. So I think that may have ran $2,000, $2,500. I think I got some quotes on it back then, and it would be about $8,000 to just replace all of them new. That's off the top of my head. I mean, I get emails all the time from different banner companies wanting to sell us stuff, so I can get us pricing pretty easily on. And the people that sell the banners, they sell the lights, they sell everything.
I think the banners and lights would be a huge plus. At night to have lights somewhere just draws me in anyway. I like the banner.
Cities do the banners, and they alternate between a banner and a snowflake and a banner and a candy cane and stuff like that.
So,
But the fall really is the one we decorate for. I
Mm.
mean, we don't do much decorating for Christmas that I know about other than banners.
Yeah, as far as fall goes, we do a lot of the straw bales and mums and pumpkins and
Yeah,
stuff
that's-
like that. And
that's
then
great.
Christmas, we do basically the banners,
Mhm.
and that's about it.
Put a few lights on them and call it a day.
Yeah, I mean, fall and Christmas, I mean, y'all do a great job at the fall. I mean,
Yeah.
It always looks good.
Beautiful.
So why don't we do a little research and present it in this year's budget, just kind of our suggestion, something a little larger than we've been doing, but nothing extravagant, and go from there.
I think the community would appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's,
That's all we have on the agenda. Chris?
I don't have anything at the moment.
Kelly?
Just hope, if you have any questions on the numbers of contacts with customers and what all we've been up to, feel free to give me a call, or I think you all received that. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Eric?
So upcoming, I'm trying to pull the date up right here. We're going to have a closure on Appleton Pike this coming Saturday from 10 to 4 p.m. They're going to be doing the final approach of that bridge where Appleton Pike crosses over the train tracks by that four-way. So they're going to have it basically closed down. They'll do some one-way allowance for local traffic to be able to get through there, but just be aware that from 10 to 4, traffic might be kind of heavy in that area. Detour people down University Drive to College Drive East and around.
Which is the old way Appleton Pike used to run.
Mhm.
Like in the 50s.
Christina?
So we have decided to bring swing dance back. So that was a popular event over in November, December. So we were able to get an instructor to agree to come back and do that about every other month. So we got that coming up on Wednesday. We are releasing the information on You Can Be My Valentine, which is a ukulele class that we're partnering with the library. That'll be coming out soon. It is limited because we only have so many ukuleles that the library actually rents out. And then the next big thing that we have coming up is going to be the weed wrangle in March, and it's a community cleanup. And basically, throughout the entire state of Tennessee on March 5th, different communities are coming together on that day to beautify their cities. So we're working on locating exactly where we're going to work at. With Public Works is helping us highlight where we have invasive and non-invasive, get rid of the bad stuff. So
You can come to my yard.
The second half of the 112th General Assembly session started on Tuesday, January the 11th. Already there has been 492 bills introduced. We expect probably about another 1,000 more between now and I think the cutoff date is generally February the 14th or 15th. So we're keeping a close eye. There's been several already that have piqued our interest that will be taking power away from local governments. So we're watching that, and I'm working closely with TML. And also just a reminder that the TML's legislative session is going to be live this year in Nashville on Monday, March the 14th and 15th. And it will be at the Doubletree Hotel again, and hopefully you'll be able to attend.
Jack?
Nothing today, sir.
Michelle?
Nothing today.
Just a reminder, there's no meeting next Monday. On the 31st, it's our fifth Monday. We have our community shred event scheduled for 4/12 from 3 to 6 in the City Hall parking lot.
What's the date again? I'm sorry.
4/12 from 3 to 6 p.m. in the parking lot. And then our community survey is underway. It continues. And then so we'll go to you. Commissioner Garber, do you have anything?
You bet. TML summer, or the conference is in Gatlinburg. What, do you know the dates of those? Anybody?
Gatlinburg, no, sir, I don't have that one written down. It's in the
Okay.
fall, but
I
I know
don't
that
have-
the next
I'm-
one you have.
I don't have my phone with me.
I know I can go online probably, but I don't have a line to go on.
I'll send you a. text.
Michelle's looking at it.
Okay, okay. Once you mentioned TML, so I thought that rang a bell. A couple things. Y'all know Old Coy Main Street intersection?
Mhm.
For some weird reason, I've been coming from from west to east on that a few times in the last couple of days. And I get to Main Street and, it's coming up a hill. And I think just about every time, there's been cars parked right by that telephone pole headed south. And you cannot see who's coming on Main Street at all. So on the way up, I try to stop so I can see them before I get there, but if there's 4 cars there, I mean, it wasn't comfortable at all. And I think there's got to be some kind of a typical space between an intersection where somebody can park, especially all these SUVs now. You just can't see over them, even in my truck.
Yeah,
So-
that's wired. I mean, that's.
Yeah,
wired
there's the
parking.
wired.
It's
Coming
because
out,
they're
Going east off of Ocoee onto Main Street. It's tough.
the owner of where the paint store used to be,
Mhm.
they're towing vehicles. So they can't tow them if they park close to the road because it's in, I guess, the right of way or something. But they've had tow trucks. They got a camera out there or something.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably why. I agree. I saw that the other day. I was like, man.
I would much appreciate something happening there. 'Cause I don't think it's legal to park within 2 feet of an intersection.
We have a site triangle regulation of 25 feet. So
Man, would that be awesome.
we'll look into it. It's basically a little over a car length.
Okay, wonderful. I didn't worry about that a bit. I knew you would. Whistle Stop. I've had a burden for them for a long time. And my burden is walking down the road from their cars to Whistle Stop. So they don't have enough parking. We all know that. But that road, the right of way and stuff is in Collegedale. And I think there's 2 telephone poles on the same side of the road as Whistle Stop with nothing on them. There's wires. Across the street, there's 2 lights farther apart and farther away from Whistle Stop to kind of light that little soccer field they have there. I don't think they use it to light it, but it does. I think I would sure like for us to look into putting a light on each of those poles so that when people walk down through there at night, I just know somebody's going to be texting and kill somebody. No one's going to try to do it, but you don't have any sidewalk, as we all know, no curb, as we all know, to prohibit that. And that, to me, at least it'd have the automobiles driving down through there. Seems like they'd have better chance of seeing someone walking along there. So far, no problem. I know that, but I like to be ahead of the game and say, at least we're talking about it and working on it.
We'll look into it. It's complicated by that being a state route, and they have very specific, expensive requirements for
Right.
lights.
Right.
All or nothing. But we'll look into it and see what
Okay.
options are available, if any.
Well, since Whistle Stop doesn't provide enough parking, maybe they should pay for them. I mean, they don't have enough parking for the number of seats in that place, I don't think, and I've never had anybody tell me they had. But yet, they need business and they need to have parking down there, and I'm not opposed to that at all, as long as we can increase the safety factor, and I'd appreciate that. I mean, I know it's a state highway, I know that, but it's in Collegedale, so if we can have a little leverage, my friend over here does a good job working with them, Eric. So that's good. And one last thing, I would love, I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but I'd love to invite Natalie to come just visit with us about the library sometime, librarian. I don't know what we consider her as far as in line with the rest of our fine employees that are here today that do such a good job for us. But I'd like to actually ask her to make a presentation. They do so many incredible things, and it'd just be nice if it got on this thing so people in the public would know if they wanted to listen in. Plus, it's nice for us to hear about it. I love hearing Natalie talk about her programs. And anyway, to me, that would be a great addition to our time here if we could ask Natalie to do that. And the last thing, I'm sure this isn't, but I think I heard Katie ask somebody to put this on the schedule for today about shelter. I thought she mentioned that when that lady made her presentation about not having a storm shelter designation for people. And I think you said that there was somebody working on it possibly. And Katie, I think, said that we'd get that on our agenda for today.
We're still working on it. Eric's
Okay.
actually working very closely with the emergency response group in the county to
Okay.
come up with a more holistic approach. So once we get it better determined, we'll present some more detailed information. Right now, it's still being developed.
Because that was one, I think, the most appropriate commenters we had since I've been on this commission for many years.
Mhm.
It was very legitimate and very well put together. And I think it's something that we need to be working toward as soon as possible. Thank you.
The TML conference, it's August 13 through 16
August.
in Gatlinburg. 13 through 16.
Thank you, ma'am.
Vice Mayor?
That's all.
To Phil's, or tag on to Phil's about the whistle stop, is there a possibility that the state would put up a guardrail to kind of keep people from going over there? Is that a possibility?
I can ask them, but I know the answer is no. Guardrails are really only to protect vehicles from going off embankments and stuff like that. It's not a pedestrian protection. It's not what they're intended for.
Well, we'd appreciate it.
Can I ask a question on that issue?
Yeah.
Well, down across the street from the Wired, we got a guardrail down there. And I think we put it in or somebody, all those white posts about every 3 inches apart, all the way down in front of that nice physical therapist and the
Yeah,
next
that's to
couple of
stop
shops.
on-street parking.
What?
That was to stop on-street parking.
I understand, but that's no more of an issue, I don't think, than what we have
Those
at
are
this
not
end of it.
Rigid.
What?
Those are not rigid.
Car would go right through them.
They're plastic.
I understand. But visually and reality is no one wants to hit them to find out if they're plastic. I mean, they do provide a guardrail type environment and somebody got permission to put them there.
Which could be honestly false security for people walking.
Oh, okay.
So I would be concerned about putting anything up there that would not protect the pedestrians, because then they could have a false sense of security and not pay attention to their surroundings.
But we do have a guardrail on a sidewalk here, basically, that whatever we call them, to me, one's keeping cars off and one's keeping people if it did. But anyway, enough. Those things down there bug me to death. We ought to be able to take out half of them and still have the same thing happen, and it would look a lot nicer, I think. I don't think we need them every 3 feet to keep a car out, but maybe we do.
So he had actually installed those. And I believe TDOT, about a year and a half after we had installed them, came back and removed them and reinstalled them how they wanted them.
Oh, okay.
So
To meet their standard.
I remember.
installed them, they weren't that tight,
Oh, okay.
but about, I don't know, 3 months ago, I remember driving through there and being like, but
They're ugly, man.
it is what it is.
They are ugly.
Their spacing was significantly less than ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's life. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's right. Seems like I had something else before I moved on, but. And I don't know if I told the police department, Jack, I really appreciate that report you put out. It's very eye-opening that you sent to the commissioners
Yes, sir.
about traffic citations and arrest. I thought that was a really good overview of what's been going on in the city. It opens your eyes and think we're not just a sleepy city, and we're not constantly just writing tickets. So thanks for putting that out for us.
Yes, sir.
And I know there was one other thing, so Katie, can I let you go first if it comes?
You can interrupt.
Reserve the right.
I just want to apologize to the group for the way I handled the meeting last Monday night. I had every intention of, when I looked in the door, if there was a quorum, going back home, because I had such a terrible headache and I was having trouble focusing my eyes. And I made a comment to Commissioner White that was not in an appropriate manner, and I apologize for that. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I wasn't up to speed, or I wouldn't have been here. But when I saw Tim wasn't here and Garb wasn't here, I thought, wow, I guess I better stay. So I just have a question. When Wired Coffee wanted to expand into the room next to them, the fire chief had a problem with them having customers in their the original part, and then having a group in the back part. But now there is a business in the back part. So was something changed about
I'm not aware of
allowing
business
them
in the back.
to have a business in the back side of Wired Coffee and having customers up? I'm just curious. I mean, it's a nice little business, but there's parking. The parking is horrendous around there. And
Terrible.
Yeah, I heard about that this weekend, and they asked me about it.
So it's called Our Market. I think they sell small goods. It was my understanding that it was more of a temporary nature. I'm not sure if they're going to go more permanent. I do know that the building department went in there to do a change of occupancy or new occupancy inspection. That's a question for Andrew of what came from this, but I know that they're allowed to operate because they got temporary sign too.
So
And I think that that Matt was over there to look at it before John said this is good to go.
They must have gotten a business license. I vaguely, when you
I think so.
mentioned
So
all that, I
They've had permission to use that back room for parties and stuff, so it's not an occupancy thing. I
But
think they're
yeah, but originally I believe they weren't supposed to use it for parties if the front part was open. At least I had several meetings with her. She was wanting me to help her get the back room open. And the fire chief had a problem because there were several issues with it.
So it probably comes down to the type of usage and the type of occupancy and the square footage of the occupancy.
Mhm.
Her original request may have included both rooms being 100% open and restaurant occupancy, which exceeded some safe parameter. And what they're doing now may fall into a different occupancy or a different amount of square footage. If Matt looked at it and said it was okay.
I mean, that's fine. I was just curious because they do have tables in there for people to sit down in and eat snacks and so forth that they prepare at their little counter. So I was just curious. That's all.
I did remember. So thank you for taking my calls and text messages on the snow event. I appreciate that. The roads really look good, and I know you took care of a couple requests of mine, although you didn't have to. You did go out of the way, so I appreciate that. And the other thing that I have, there are on Talent Road, where Edgemond comes into Talent Road, the duplex on the right-hand side, there's two sets of duplexes. They've got this huge boat parked in the front yard. It's like a 28-foot cabin cruiser. Is that, Andrew's not here. I'm not sure if that's, and those duplexes have, the one on the left looks great next to the spring house. The one on the right, it's one of those that you kind of hang your head and kind of, I've talked to them before about how bad it looks, but
We can have Jeremy go by. I believe our regulations written on broken down vehicles. I don't know if it specifically calls out boats or not and what the legal interpretation of automobile versus vehicle versus boat is. But we'll look into it and see what we can.
hasn't been there that long. I'm hoping it's temporary, but unfortunately, I've seen temporary at that one apartment
Or
there.
it's temporary October until April of every year.
Yeah, and I just, it just really looks bad.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Come on, Tim. Come on, man.
I'll bring it over to your house.
Come on, Tim.
Well, if there's nothing else.
It's a boat, man. It's a boat.
I don't know if it'll run or float.
Right. Not gonna go on a